Sup guys, long video this time. Today I'll be ranking all the best teams in Honkai Star Rail, but before we start, I'd like to clarify that there are some team archetypes that are not developed enough to be on this list. This does not mean that they are bad, just hard to categorize. The teams I rank the highest are the ones you should focus your polls on, as they are obviously incredibly powerful, and will help you find your place in the game, as it can get a bit confusing with all the different paths. Know that the information gathered here comes from factors like character strength, ease of use, and longevity, how long the team will stay strong throughout the game's runtime. I'll also factor in how these teams perform in HSR endgame, because it's obviously the most important part. It should be no surprise that Dot is the worst team right now. Even though we're getting a new unit to help out with Dot's next patch, it's been neglected for too long to make a comeback now. Dot teams can be very slow paced and frustrating when the opponent you want your dots to proc on are too slow, making it very situational. Hoyo has desperately tried to bring it back in the past, but not with new units. They did it in the most frustratingly way possible, by making the limited time buffs in Mach, Pure Fiction, and Poc cater to dot teams, restricting the effectiveness of other teams for no reason. Hoyoverse devs love filling endgame content with useless dot buffs, even in every simulated universe they made. Dot directly contradicts the point of endgame, speed. Since Dot can take a while to stack on enemies, it makes for a lot slower average clear time, even with Kafka. Hell, without Kafka, Dot might as well be unplayable, which is honestly just disgusting. Dot could get better, it simply needs more units. I hate to say it, but Hoyo can make one more Harmony unit for Dots. Besides that, this is the dead type of team. I know counters are follow-up attacks, but they work so differently that I decided to separate the two. While small in units, counter teams are pretty effective, even if reliant on fast and frequently attacking enemies. Counter teams basically play themselves for a more comfortable playstyle. They're pretty low on the list at the moment because they're still pretty situational. But even if they're not as developed as other teams, I have to say it's worth investing in. Their biggest issue was having to wait to be attacked, but the release of Finon and his ability to force enemies into action opens up so much potential for upcoming counter units, or supports who can do the same, like a reverse Robin. I'm hoping counters can have their own identity soon, but for now they're glued to follow-up attacks. Pull for Yunli, Clara, and Finon. And since March exists, we might have a chance to have a full team that just counters everything. But that won't happen for a while now.
Always soaring, forever triumphant!
To clarify, characters who just have follow-up attacks like Archer and Blade don't apply here. I mean characters like Fei Zhao and Dr. Ratio. Follow-up attack teams are pretty good. As it turns out, bombarding your opponents with constant attacks is a great way to beat them. Follow-up attack units have very strong relics, planners, and dedicated harmony units. To beat endgame content, you need to be fast, and you don't get much faster than these guys. Damage-wise, they're not as strong as they used to be. Follow-up attack teams have been showing their age with the game's recent challenges, so they struggle to keep up with modern teams. But don't blame Hoyo, they can't make everyone happy. Follow-up teams have incredible flexibility, as they have units that perform very well in various endgame content. Fei Zhao, Ratio, Topaz from Memory of Chaos, and Apocalyptic Shadow, Herda and Jade in Pure Fiction. Not just that, follow-up units have the ability to deal huge damage and buff their teammates. Jade in Hunt March, for example. Topaz is also a good teammate for Hunt follow-up DPSs, as they can make enemies weak against follow-up attacks. Follow-up teams are a great way to get into the game, as the units work so well together, and especially since they give Dr. Ratio to new players right away. They're the perfect middle ground, not too good because of their age, and not too bad because how flexible they are. Summoners, despite being new, are incredibly strong at the moment, even though this wasn't always the case prior to the release of the Remembrance Path. Before, it was just Jing Yuan and Topaz, which were not very popular, especially the former, who received many buffs and units to get kinda decent. Then Sunday came out, who is the premier dedicated summoner support, even though he can support just about anyone. Great job, Hoyo. Aglaya is a very powerful unit with Sunday, but needs heavy investment to get good. Castries is incredibly broken, but we'll save her for later. I want to keep this one short, but TLDR, summoner teams are strong, but almost all of them need heavy support. I think the Remembrance Path is so broken, I'd rather you invest in it now rather than later. God damn, I love Super Break. It was my first team archetype that I went for back when Firefly came out. But what is Super Break? In simple terms, enemies receive huge damage when the weakness is and while it's broken. Before, breaking an enemy's weakness wasn't a big deal, but now it's extremely rewarding. This damage makes use of the previously completely useless break effect, making building break effect characters brain dead easy as you don't have to focus on too many substats like crit, which is usually hell. Hoyoverse has perfected Super Break, has all the units you could possibly need, overpowered DPSs, OP harmony units, healers, debuffers, everything. Even Ron Mei, who was made before Super Break, is so useful to these teams that there's zero downside deploying for her. Super Break teams make the most use out of every unit compared to other teams. They even made their healers healers dish out huge damage, and Fuke even gives them another weakness bar to break. Compared to the other paths, Hoya's put the most ingenuity into this one. It's also so free to play friendly, it's almost unfair. All you need is a break DPS, Harmony MC, and Gallagher, and you're set. Super Break has single target, blast, and AoE, so you can use it wherever you want. Basically, almost every enemy is vulnerable to weakness break because they're designed to be that way. Definitely one of the strongest team comps for whatever you want to do. But the biggest drawback is that this team does no damage if the enemy is not weakness broken. So you really have to break the weakness as quickly as you can. Before we get to the S rank, let's go over some honorable mentions.
Accept your punishment.
This is the newest, strongest team comp to be released, now coming into full flourish with the release of Inforius. HP scaling characters have become the strongest there is. Mighty and Castories are prime examples. I consider HP to have better scaling than attack, since HP is easier to build up. HP team comps have the most to offer compared to any other, like huge damage, probably the best right now, insane survivability because of their massive health bars, and potent supports. HP scaling supports like Tribi are dealing ludicrous amount of damage, very similar to the damage output as Robin, probably more. The newest Inforius healer, Hyacinth, is the holy trinity, team-wide HP increase, therefore a damage buff, great heals, and of course massive damage. They even reworked Blade and Jingliu to fully commit to HP, however they still need more time to fit in. HP damage dealers is all premium, so it takes some investing, but it's the safest path to beating the game. There's also plenty of Harmony units you may already have that don't give attack. Remembrance MC if nothing else. I want you guys to look forward to the new HP scalers coming out. You don't want to miss it, because as I said before, nothing's better than a team that likes to stack HP. Let me know in the comments your favorite team comp. Unless it's Dot, then I don't care.